You know, in the time it's going to take for you to watch this explainer, AI will have already made thousands of business decisions, analyzed millions of data points, and probably even written a few lines of code. This isn't some far-off future we're talking about, it's the reality for professionals right now. So the question isn't if AI will change your career anymore, it's how. Today, we're going to break down how you can go from being disrupted by AI to being the one calling the shots, especially right here in India.
Let's just start with this. It's a pretty stark warning. And this isn't coming from some skeptic or a sci-fi writer. This is from the founder of Anthropic, one of the companies literally building this technology. So when the people making the AI are predicting that half of all entry-level jobs could just vanish within 5 years, well, that's a wake-up call for every single one of us. The ground is definitely shifting beneath our feet.
And that warning? It's not about some storm that's way off in the distance. The disruption is already here, and honestly, it's picking up speed every single day. Before we can even talk about the opportunities, we've got to get a really clear, honest look at the size of the challenge we're all facing.
Now, you might be looking at this list and be a little surprised. Microsoft actually put out this huge report detailing the jobs that are most at risk from AI. And we're not talking about simple repetitive factory work here. These are skilled, creative, and analytical careers. Software engineering, graphic design, content writing, even data science. The conclusion was so broad it basically said that any job that revolves around a computer is vulnerable.
So, what's left? Well, ironically, it's the jobs that require actual, physical, hands-on skills. You know, the ones we used to think would be the first to get automated. Turns out, it's a lot harder for an AI to wire a house or take care of a patient than it is for it to write a piece of code or analyze a spreadsheet. It's a total flip from what most of us expected about the future of work.
And this is where things get really interesting and kind of weird. See, it used to be that if a big company announced huge layoffs, it was a bad sign, right? A sign of trouble, and their stock would usually drop. But today, when a company says it's cutting thousands of jobs to become more efficient using AI, its stock price often goes up. The financial markets are literally rewarding companies for replacing people with technology.
Now, that global trend, it has a particularly sharp edge right here in India. The way our economy has been built over the last few decades, well, it makes our workforce uniquely vulnerable to this exact kind of disruption, and it is absolutely crucial that we understand why.
At the heart of it is this concept we can call the economy of inefficiency. For years, the go-to solution for a lot of Indian businesses has been to solve problems by just hiring more people. Got a complicated workflow? Hire a team to manage it. That team gets buried in work? Well, let them hire some interns. It's a mindset that's all about throwing more bodies at a problem instead of building a better, more efficient system to solve it in the first place.
This comparison just makes it crystal clear. Over in Silicon Valley, you might see a billion-dollar company running with a super lean team of maybe 150 people. Why? Because they're built on top of incredibly efficient technology. Meanwhile, in India, you could have a company with a tiny fraction of that revenue that employs almost the same number of people. It's all because of that reliance on human power for tasks that AI is now perfectly built to handle.
In fact, when businesses take a hard look at what their teams are actually spending their days on, they often find that a huge chunk of it, sometimes as high as 70%, is just low-value, repetitive grunt work. You know, the stuff that keeps people busy but doesn't actually add any real value or drive growth. And that kind of work? It's the absolute #1 target for AI automation.
Okay, I know, that's a pretty scary picture. But it's so important to remember that every massive technological shift in history has also created enormous new opportunities. The whole trick is knowing where to look and how to adapt. So it's time to pivot. Let's move away from the problem and start talking about the solution.
This is the question that really matters to you. If all the old, traditional career paths are starting to crack, what new doors are opening up? How can you put yourself in a position to not just survive this whole thing, but to actually become essential in the new economy that's being born right now?
Here it is. The single biggest opportunity is in serving the real engine of our economy, India's millions of small and medium enterprises. These business owners, they know they need AI to keep up. They see it, but they don't have the time or the budget or the expert on staff to figure it all out. And that huge gap between what they desperately need and what they're capable of doing, that's where you can build an entire career. And you can start by focusing on the biggest headaches these businesses have. Can you use AI to build them a system that finds new customers 24/7? What if you set up AI agents to handle the first few sales calls and follow-ups? Or could you help them use AI to look at their own data and find new ways to grow? These aren't just small fixes. These are game-changing solutions that businesses will gladly pay for.
So how do you actually start solving these problems? Let's get really practical. I'm going to show you a few powerful, easy-to-use AI tools that can give you an instant advantage, whether you want to be a consultant or just become the most valuable person at your current company. Think of this as your AI starter toolkit.
Just imagine this for a second. You've got a huge, career-making interview tomorrow. You've done your research on the company, but you really wish you had some kind of secret weapon, like a playbook for the person who's about to interview you. You know, what makes them tick? How do they like to communicate? What are the little things you should say? And maybe more importantly, what should you definitely not say?
Well, there's a tool for that. It's called Crystal Knows, and it basically builds that playbook for you. It scans a person's public digital footprint, their LinkedIn profile, articles they've shared, stuff like that, and it creates a shockingly accurate personality profile. It gives you real advice like be direct and use data with this person, or start with a personal story before you talk business. It is literally like having a cheat code for professional relationships. Okay, here's another one we've all run into. You need to get in touch with a key person at another company, but you don't know them directly. You have this feeling, this gut feeling that someone in your network knows them. But how on earth do you find that one connection buried in thousands of old emails and LinkedIn contacts?
A tool called Happenstance solves this exact problem. Think of it like a private search engine, but for your people. You hook it up to your Gmail, your LinkedIn, and it maps out your entire web of connections, uncovering relationships you totally forgot about. It might find that an old colleague from 5 years ago is now best friends with your target, giving you the perfect person to ask for a warm intro. It finds the hidden gold in the network you already have.
Now, these tools are amazing. They really are. But how well they work for you comes down to one single fundamental skill. The real master key to unlocking the power of any AI isn't about the software you use, it's about the quality of the questions you ask it. It's all about the art of the prompt.
You can get so much better results from any AI just by using this simple 4-part formula. First, give it a role. Tell it, act like a senior marketing expert for B2B companies. Second, give it a clear objective. Your goal is to write a 3-part email sequence to win back a client who's gone quiet. Third, give it context. This client is a big, old-school manufacturing company, and the person I'm talking to is super busy. And finally, give it any specific data it needs. This simple structure takes a basic request and turns it into a professional instruction, and the result you get is 10 times better.
That's really what it all boils down to. In this new age of AI, your ability to think clearly, ask smart, specific questions, that is the new superpower. Your skill in framing a problem is what's going to set you apart from every other person who has access to the exact same tools.
So let's end with this one critical thought. The real threat isn't the technology itself. AI is just a tool, like the internet or a spreadsheet. The real risk is getting left behind by the people who learn how to use this tool better than you. The question isn't, is AI coming for my job anymore? The question is, are you getting ready to be the person who uses AI to completely redefine what that job can be? The choice is yours.